Hey guys, welcome back into Legacy. We have today, finally, we've been working on this for a couple months. I've got the indomitable Robert J Schwalb here backstage. I'm going to go ahead and bring him back in and we will get started and we will talk about all the fun stuff he's done in the game industry.
Well,
Greetings.
hello.
So just get us started, man. Let's do what we should be doing here and tell everyone kind of who you are, kind of where you got started and all that kind of stuff and what you're currently into.
Sure. I've been working in tabletop role playing games for almost, I guess, 24 years.
Okay.
I got started in the early days of third edition, working for third party companies, trying to get my name out there. That eventually led me to Green Ronin Publishing. I did a couple of books for them ahead of time. And then I started with them as their D20 line developer while finishing up the Black Company campaign setting. And then when I was there, I also took up, in addition to D20, I also worked on the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I was became the lead developer on that game. And then eventually that took me to Song of Ice and Fire, which was a lot of fun to work on. Wizards of the Coast poached me in, I think, 2008 to write for them full time as a contractor, and so I worked on D&D the latter days of third edition stuff, and then, in fact, I led the design in the last third edition book for D&D, Elder Evils. Um,
Mhm.
then I worked on a ton of fourth edition stuff. Then I moved on to the fifth edition design team. And then after that, I left Wizards of the Coast and went on my own. And I've been running my little company, fierce and small, uh, since 2014, 2015. We make games like Punk Apocalyptic, When the Wolf Comes, Shadow of the Demon Lord, and most recently, Shadow of the Weird Wizard. So these days, I'm mostly fulfilling my Weird Wizard Kickstarter obligations, kind of winding down Demon Lord in anticipation for Demon Lord 666, and then getting ready to launch a Kickstarter later this year for the Shadow of the Red Moon rulebook. So lots of fun stuff in the works.
That is awesome. And by the way, I did not know till today you were involved with the Black Company book. And I decided to make the mistake of looking up how much it would cost to get me a hard copy, and my heart stopped.
Yeah, I bet they're very rare. Yeah.
They're about $300 right
Holy cow! Holy cow!
now. But I would love to have a copy of that because Black Company is amazing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm
but
excited to see what Arc Publishing does with. They got the license now, and
okay,
so they're doing. I think they're using it. They're building a custom system for it and
okay,
focusing more on. Mine was. I worked on it with Shane Ivey and Owen
mhm,
Casey Stevens and Scott Gearin, and it was we were trying to make a adapt Black Company to D20, and I think and I really went far afield by building a magic system that really tried to capture what
mhm.
the kind of free form style of magic in the books. But I think that not tying it to D20 will make it probably an even better game. I'm really excited
Yes.
they do.
It'd be like trying to adjust Malazan to D&D right now.
Yeah, that
Just
just doesn't work.
you'd have to almost rewrite the whole role system to make it work.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Yeah. The one game I caught, I did not realize you were involved with that I fell in love with years ago, and it came out of that Fantasy Flight kind of glut in the early 2000s, was Grimm,
Oh, right,
which
yes.
which is a criminally underrated game. Criminally underrated.
It was a that was such a funny thing because I went to Origins for to try to glad hand and get some work because I was in
Mhm.
those early days. It was I would take any job no matter how low it paid, just to kind of to build a resume, and I went to it was either Origins or Gen Con, and Rob Vaughn, who was one of the developers over at Fantasy Flight, said, "Hey, we've got this manuscript that needs a lot of work, and most of it's not written. Would you kind of take this over the finish line?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And so I wrote this. I put together the Grimm role playing game, which was really cool for a D20 product to kind of, because I don't think anybody else has really done anything quite like that at that point for the D20 system, and to kind of twist and invert fairy tales and make them disgusting and strange. I was able to really,
the Rotten King. All
yeah,
I have to say. I love Humpty Dumpty being a bad guy.
yeah, yeah. It was fun. It seems like that was a lifetime ago, but it was
Yeah,
I mean, the game did well enough that they ended up doing a full role playing game with its own custom system with it. And I think I
yep,
wrote a little bit for it, but I
yep,
didn't have much to do with that after that. But
yep. That was a. I read the custom book before. Is the one I've read. I never got into the D20 version of it, but I did get into the custom with the grade levels and all that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great game. That came out in the same era as some other underrated RPGs like Fireborn.
Right, Fireborn, yeah, Fireborn, and uh, oh yes, right, Fireborn was one of them. That one, and then I guess they never did a midnight setting on it. They never did a
And so
midnight.
it's all D20.
Yeah, that and Dawn Forge. I'm looking at my
Yeah,
shelf.
yeah,
Uh,
Dawnforge, and then you had Dragon Star as well at the same time.
right, 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 right.
Yeah, like I said, I like esoteric games, man.
Yeah,
So we just named about 6 games right there that 60% or more of the industry is like, what?
totally forgot about that. Yeah, yeah. Some interesting things from that era.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah,
of
there were some very good games in that era.
yeah.
But Grim definitely is up there as one of my underrated games that people, even if you don't play the custom system, it's a great world that you could port into like a generic system like GURPS or something
Sure.
and really enjoy because it's really good. I'm sorry about the dog here. I'm doing
Not at
something, so
all.
the pity has to be in the way.
Hey,
I've got him, and
that's
I've
fine.
got him, and I've got a 110-pound Shepherd Husky, both of who like to be in the way.
Oh, nice.
So I've got about 165 pounds of dog in the house,
Well, that's
and as you
good.
can see, I'm getting assaulted right now.
Yeah, salted and a peppered.
Yep. But as far as games go, I mean, the breadth of the things you've done are just. I think it's kind of hard to realize how much you did. I was not aware. Like I've never read the credits for it. I've run the adventure before, but I've never read the credits really. I didn't realize you were involved with War of the Lich Lord, which is
Yes,
probably one of my favorite Warhammer Fantasy adventures.
it was a lot of fun. Aaron
Yeah.
Rosenberg did a great job on getting the draft together, and
Mhm.
then Kate Flack and I really kind of helped develop it
Yep.
up and build it out to make it
Yep.
really, really drip
Mhm.
Warhammer. It was a
Yep.
great,
Well,
absolutely
and
incredible.
it was the first time somebody had really explored the Kiamantari
Yeah.
and the Tomb Kings and used them as real villains in a Warhammer Fantasy adventure.
Yeah, I look back in those days and kind of I uh, pine for them a bit because I think there was so much we still wanted to explore. Like
Mhm.
we had built out a schedule at one point where we were going to go to the New World and we were going to start getting lizard folk, and and at the time Cathay was always still a no no, and Nippon was a no
Yep.
no.
Yep.
But I knew that if I put enough pressure for a long enough time, we'd get chaos dwarves, and we would get end, and we'd get all the weird stuff that was on the fringes
Oh yeah.
of Warhammer lore. Sorry, now it's my
Uh,
turn for an animal.
it's okay, man. I've got 6 cats in the house too.
I can't
So,
tell you how many I have because the number keeps going up.
so we're both crazy cat people. That's a good thing.
Yep, yep.
There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I absolutely adore and it's weird to go back and look at your back catalog because I realize how much I really appreciated some of the stuff you wrote for WotC, like Book of Magic and the Book of Fiends, all that stuff. Those are amazing books in and of themselves. I've only ever gotten to play out of the Book of Magic once. I taught somebody to let me play a Shadowcaster,
Oh, cool.
which
That
was really weird.
that was my first book for Wizards of the Coast.
Okay.
I was the guy who did the support tech for the 3 major new versions of Magic. Ari
Yeah.
had Shadow Magic or Shadowmancy. Dave Noonan
Mm-hmm.
had True Names,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt Cernett did Binding, and so it
Okay.
was really cool to be able to work with those systems and then kind of build out new prestige
Yep.
classes and adventure
Mm-hmm.
content to kind of really support and drive and really ground them into the
Yeah,
world. It was a neat
yeah,
book, and it was a bold book for its time in D and
yeah,
D land, because
yeah.
it was showing a willingness to kind of step beyond the core Vancian system.
Yeah, well, and unfortunately, that book got a bad reputation among DMs, where true namers wound up getting banned at a lot of tables because true name magic wound up being too powerful.
Yeah, which is funny because like people would complain that it was too weak, or yeah, it was one of those things where I think that it was a really cool experiment, and I would have liked to have seen. We had a couple binders
Yep,
in the third edition days in my
mm,
groups. They were always fun to see.
yep,
Fun to
yep.
see.
Yeah, we played a game. I played the Shadowcaster. I put up a wall of cold fire with a carpet of shadow that held down half the room while our bull rushing warforged rammed people through the wall of fire.
Oh, nice, very good.
So he does all the gate crasher damage, puts them through the. So they take like 12d6 from that, then they take 12d6 from my wall.
Oh, nice.
So cold, and it's cold fire, so their fire resistance doesn't do anything to them.
Yeah, that's the way to
It
do
was
it.
great. It was great. We had so much fun with that game. There's lots of good memories from 3.0 for me, 3.x.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah, and that's where I got some experience when I was a kid with 2e, and that's what I my favorite edition is probably still going to be second edition because it's what I cut my teeth on. But my majority of my playing time with D&D was 3.x and Pathfinder. So
Yeah,
I grew up kind of with those systems.
I only got to dip my toe into Pathfinder once or twice. I think I worked
Hmm.
on. They did a high level, a mythic level book, right?
Yep,
And
yeah,
then
the
they
mythic
also did
class levels.
occult adventures, and I did some spells for
Hmm.
that.
Okay.
It was during that window
Yep.
between leaving Wizards of the Coast and starting my
Hmm.
own company. I was doing some freelance, so I did some stuff
Yep.
for Monty and at Monty
Hmm.
Cook Games, and then some Paizo stuff.
Yep.
It was fun.
Yep. Yep. Numenera is an interesting game. That character options book is one of the more useful books for Numenera.
Yeah,
Mentioned your work for Monty. Uh, Definitely expands the idea that there's only three classes and all of that. Everyone looks at that and sees it as kind of restrictive originally until you realize all the options available to those three
right,
classes. It's honestly, you worked with you worked with Green Ronin. Same thing's true with the age system. You have three or four classes, but you can have two thieves in a party and they're totally different characters because of the specializations and talents and skill
right.
specializations and all that. Um, and honestly, Chris over there has done an excellent job with the age system, uh, developing it and then expanding it out into other worlds, Blue Rose, the Expanse.
Right.
So Chris and them have actually done a pretty good job with the age system. Although, to be fair, not just because it's my favorite game, I actually prefer the Chronicle system a little more that you developed for Song of Ice and Fire because it's not as stat driven.
Right.
Um, it's truly skill driven, and it's just an easier. The game feels a little better to me because it doesn't require quite as much interpretation on the GM's part, which is good because the skills are a little better defined without the specializations.
Fair.
And
Yeah.
then, well, then again, I'm also an old L5R player, so the idea of roll and keep is.
Yep. Yep.
um, and I think Song of Ice and Fire is the first game I really read where you guys had written into the rules a full intrigue system with social combat rules that weren't just combat rules with a social twist.
Yeah, it was a that was kind of an essential part of the development of that game. We wanted to, uh, the books kind of don't really focus on the fighting so much,
Hmm.
but they do talk about, so it was a tricky game to build because we wanted to have the house uh, as the knitting kind
Yeah.
of extra character that kind of keeps everybody together, the reason for why you're all together.
Mm.
But then because of the nature of the kinds of people that would be in the house, the movers and shakers, could be a septon or could be a meister, it could be a third son or daughter. Uh,
Mm.
and so you've got all these different characters that are that really just aren't gonna, hoist their backpacks and go out and kill some wildlings. That's just
Yep.
not what's going to happen. You're going to be so we had to make sure that there was a system built in that really made social interaction as exciting as fighting
Mm.
could be.
Yep. Absolutely. And I love that about it. Um, the other thing that I learned from that game was how to run a truly episodic uh, series of adventures. Where when I was running it last time I ran it, is each adventure was like an episode of the show. It may take us a couple sessions to resolve, but it was never. They were all interconnected by one main storyline, but I could run a totally different part of that storyline from adventure to adventure, and it all was very well built.
Yeah.
And I really, this is coming from a fan of the game. It really feels like that's kind of the way that you built it. Feels like that's kind of where it was aiming for a little bit,
Oh,
where
for
you
sure.
didn't have to. Where and we what we learned to do when I first started playing it about 10, 12 years ago. Now it's been about maybe a little longer, maybe 15 years ago. Geez, yeesh. Was man, I'm feeling old today. Um, was we created multiple characters. We created 2 or 3 characters so that if we wanted to do an intrigue heavy game, we could do an intrigue heavy game, or if we wanted to do a combat heavy game, we had a combat heavy
Yeah.
character, and we could just plug and play. We did a little bit of troop style play.
Oh, for that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, which we kind of, Ars Magic kind of, created the impetus for the idea of troop style role playing games, and then other people have since learned the glory of it.
Yeah, that's a great game. One of my biggest regrets was not being able to work on that.
Yeah, I
But
love that game. I wanted to get the definitive fifth, but I don't have that kind of money laying around. So,
yeah,
unfortunately, I do own all the PDFs for the. I bought it as part of a humble bundle many years ago. I bought all the fifth edition books, so I've got everything for fifth edition. But the
cool.
definitive has all the errata and everything already in a book, and folds all the uh, realm books into it and everything else. I'm like, oh, that'd be so nice to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I said that it's just the way that you create some of these games though is just and some of the work you've done has just been so good. Like I said, Song Ice and Fire definitely is what put you on my radar as far as creatives went because
Okay.
I think it's the first book I remember you being the lead author listed of me seeing it anyways.
Yeah,
Um,
I had done a couple. I guess I had that was running around the. I mean, I guess yeah, I guess that probably was the first really big one because the Black Company was.
yep,
I led
yep,
that, and then
yep,
yeah, I mean, it was a big deal to have that project.
yep,
It was
yep,
sad though because it happened right at the end of Warhammer wound down because Black Industries took the license back, and they were producing some stuff on their own before they went to Fantasy Flight. So that was kind of winding down. Song of Ice and Fire was keeping me busy, but I was also doing freelance work for Wizards of the Coast, and then I got
mhm,
the job offer at Wizards, and so I was wrapping
yep,
up Song of Ice and Fire while working at Wizards of the Coast, putting out 40,000 words a month. It was chaos, but
yep,
yeah, it was a cool project to work on, and it was neat to play around in
yep,
Martin's sandbox
yep.
for a bit.
Yep. Like I said, that's really what put you on my radar as far as the creative went. And then I started looking at some of the other things you had been involved with, and like I admitted earlier, I even missed some of it because there's some of those books have so many names attached to them, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, you just and then I was basically on the ground floor when Demon Lord came out. I bought it the month it came out.
Awesome.
Didn't get to run it for about 6 months because it was really hard to get people interested in it originally because it's a new game. They're all playing D&D. They're all playing
Right.
Pathfinder. They're all playing all these other established fantasy games. But once we started getting people playing it, they're like, "This game is awesome," and I'm like, "Yeah, we tried to tell you that." you know.
Yeah, it's a that's always a challenge when the Wizards owns 95% of the market and
Mhm.
the rest of us are fighting for the last 5%.
Yep.
Um, but it's a Demon Lord has survived these many years, and it's got a rabid fan base, and that's great. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with the next iteration of the game.
Yeah. Well, and ideally, I know ideally you'd like to be bigger, but there's something to be said that there's something good about having 5,000 fans that are hardcore about it and 50,000 fans that are kind of blasé about it.
Right. I get to avoid a lot of the drama on the internets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's a big thing that not going to dive into that, but that I actually have. I actually paused my channel for about 6 months to try to figure out how to reconfigure it. Pulled down all my previous videos because they were all full of drama and internet crap, and I basically have decided that that's just not that doesn't help the community at all. So uh, we should just be focusing on games.
Yeah.
So I understand not wanting to be involved in it by far.
Yeah. It's whatever is happening in the industry is nothing to do with me, except as far as my projects are concerned.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
keep my head down and keep making cool things.
that's right. I will say this: I'm gonna pick up Orc Wars, but I think I'm gonna wait until you finish it.
We're really close. I think I've got
Yeah.
I think we just laid out 8, 9 is in production, and then I have,
Yeah, and you only have 10 of them, right?
so they're coming.
Yeah, yeah, and you're gonna have 10 of them complete.
Be 11 total.
11 total. Are you thinking about putting them all in one book at some point, like an omnibus of them, or you just
We'll
gonna
do
leave
it.
them separate?
We'll do them as a bundle.
Okay.
When it comes out. We did the
Okay.
same thing with Dungeon of the Demon Lord. We'll do
Okay.
the same thing with Return of the Witch
Yep.
King. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, Return of the Witch King and Orc Wars, they can be run independently, but they do
Yep.
have some crisscrossing.
Yep.
And so it does create a really cool opportunity for groups to
Yep.
run two groups that are kind of stomping around in the same hellscape and seeing how it all kind of comes together. Because it is a big thing. I'm swinging big at
Yep.
the end, right? I mean, the
Yep.
Horn Lord shows up in episode 8,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's exciting. And you can go fight him if you are feeling foolish.
Yep.
But we're just kind of we're stepping it up to bring it to a head and kind of lay the groundwork for what comes next, because 666 takes place 666 years after the events of the Return of the Witch King, and
Okay.
so the Demon Lord's influence shadow is kind of will recede, still be a threat, but it's going to be the tension's going to be all about the fallout from what the Witch King was going after and what he was trying to do, and
Nice.
the continent will shake up, and I just leveled the Shield Mountains in
Yep.
one adventure, so there's big things happening.
Nice. Nice. Eric mentions that Punk Apocalyptic looks very interesting, and to be honest with you, I have to agree. I like the idea that you're going to take the Demon Lord engine and kind of make it more generic, so you can build other games onto it.
Yeah.
That's going to be really fun. Because like I said, the Demon Lord engine itself is it's so simple, but so versatile. I love that characters are versatile. I love that playing the game is simplistic without you didn't have to write a role for everything to still cover everything.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from my reaction to being part of the 5e team, where in some cases there's a temptation to over design, right?
Yep.
Where you have to cover every instant, and I mean it's one of those things with like Weird Wizard is crunchier than Demon Lord because it's a lot more is laid out for you as far as, well, these are the essential ways we do things in the game, and here are examples of how to implement those through that to try to make the system a little bit more robust.
Yep.
And as I'm working on Red Moon right now, I'm noticing that I'm tending to do that, and I need to probably pump the brakes and go back to the charm of what Demon Lord did right, which was get out of the way.
Yep.
Just assume that you know what you're doing.
Yep. Well, and that's a big thing. I've noticed that across indie space, and not OSR indie space, but more generic indie space with non-OSR games, is that a lot of these guys are creating simple games. They're creating games that are easily accessible, easily playable. Because one of the only ways you're going to get your foot in the door with an indie game right now is it has to be approachable. If your game is too complex, too crunchy, people are just going to stick with what they know.
Right, right, for sure. And also I think that I've also kind of have come to accept the fact, and not accept. I mean, it's mostly just understanding that people that come to other role playing games, this is not their first. Anything I make will never be their first role playing
No,
game.
no.
Uh, and so I don't. And that takes a lot of pressure off.
Yep,
There's no need to instruct people on what the game master's job is, what a role playing game is. All that stuff is
yep,
just
yep,
is worthless. And so cutting
yep,
all that out with and being upfront and saying you probably came to this game from D&D or one of its various clones. Guess what? You know how to play this game already. And
yep,
here's how things are a bit
yep.
different.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually an issue that I've taken in recent years with game design. Is there's a lot of game design that feels like it's written, for lack of a better way of putting it, it's written for the lowest common denominator, and it reads like you're stupid. And that's not always a bad thing because again, you want to make your game approachable, but at the same time, you got to walk that fine line that you don't accidentally insult the people reading it.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's I remember there was a conversation I had with in the past. It's like you have to, how much of your work is set aside defining basic things like, do I
Mhm.
need to tell you what a mace is, for example?
Yeah,
Do I need to tell you what a sword is? You
yeah,
seriously don't need to know that. I mean, it's not it shouldn't be my job to tell you that as a game designer.
exactly,
You should just know what
exactly.
I mean. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And like I said, it's not always a bad thing, but it can be. And Eric makes another good point here. At the end of the homebrew, at the end, we all homebrew some roles of every system for our groups, and needing and easy roles typically equal easy homebrew. And
sure.
there is definitely truth to that as well. Being able to take uh, there are things in Demon Ward that if you feel they don't fit your group, you can reconfigure them very easily to better fit your group.
Right.
Um, and same thing with Song of Ice and Fire. If there's something that doesn't make sense to you the way it's written or whatever, you could reconfigure it to make more sense very easily because it's flexible enough as a rule set without being written for, you're not writing at a fourth grade level. You're writing as if your players at least read,
Yeah.
adult books.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's true. It is a. I think there is a point where I think that we have gotten to where there is kind of a deterioration of the language. Although on the
Mhm.
other hand, I remember back in the '80s, and you'd get role playing games, and you'd have
Yep,
to really work at it to figure out what the hell's going
yep,
on.
yep.
I'm
Well,
told
everything was written in high Gygaxian.
right, or there are crazy rules like I'm not 100% sure how fencing worked in Top Secret, for example, the first
Yep,
edition, not SI, or using a shotgun for that matter. It's just because there was just a level of complexity that far
yep,
outstripped anything else that was going
yep,
on in the game.
yep.
But I
Well,
mean,
and then you also got into weird things like Traveler. Was it Traveler 3 or 4 that had half dice? Yeah.
I did not encounter that. So yeah, whoa,
I mean, you start getting into stuff like that, and it's like banging your head. And Mark Miller is a very smart guy.
yeah,
It's very clear from his writing he's not an idiot. So he writes about using half dice, and you're like, well, holy cow, man.
what is a half? Yeah, yeah, interesting.
And you saw early editions of things like Tunnels and Trolls had some of those problems where Ken St. Andre wrote a little bit of elevated language. He used a little bit of elevated language in early editions. And his later editions, he kind of dumbed down the language a little bit to make it simpler. But definitely saw that. Those anybody from that I'd say second generation of game designers were really bad about that.
Yeah, I mean, those were the days when Rollmaster would number their rule sections, and so everything was number coded,
Yep.
which goes right back to old uh, board games
Yeah.
like Panzer Leader and stuff like that, where
Mhm.
you number the rules for reference. But that's a thing that just kind of was a holdover from that era.
Yep.
But uh, we're living in a weird time as far as role playing games are concerned, because
Yep.
there's obviously D&D still wears the crown, but then there are
Mhm.
games like Shadow Dark and obviously
Yep.
the OSR movement that are
Yep.
that
Yep.
still.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing with the OSR for me is that there is good in the OSR, but there's also piles upon piles of dreck.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
it, the big ones you hear about typically are pretty good, but yeah, if
Sure.
you really dig, it's full of people who think they're writing the next AD&D, and you're just like,
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience
yeah,
with
yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah,
I've got several on. I've got a couple of them here, but
yeah. That's how I am. I picked a couple out that I really enjoy. Many years ago, I got turned on to Lamentations. I like OSE, and
yeah,
those are pretty much the two that I keep around,
I've got OSC and I've got Swords and Wizardry, and
which is a good game.
yeah, I've got a bunch of others, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Necrotic Gnome figured it out. It wasn't about making new rules. It was about making the rules clear. Sorry about
yeah.
this, guys. And there's the shepherd right there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's a big animal. He's
Yeah,
about 38 at the withers, so he's a big
wow.
boy.
He is a big boy.
Called Joey, get out of the way, buddy. Can't see nothing. but yeah, the OSR is definitely, but I think that's generally true in art in general, and I think there's an argument made that game design is a form of art, whether people will ever admit that or not. Um, Anytime you deal with creating art, you're going to get good with bad, and you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, well, I mean that's just part of it, and I think that there's, uh, right now the barrier to entry is pretty low, which
Mhm.
means that ambition can easily help
Yep,
you pole vault over whatever that would get in your way before.
yep, yep.
I got started at the point of transition where
Hmm.
doing indie style games was still relatively new. I guess that all started after I was already in, and back in the day, your best bet to break into the industry was to get an article published in Dragon Magazine or an
Yep,
adventure published
yep,
in Dungeon,
yep.
and
I was
now
going
you
to
don't even have.
say 2002, you had to go to the convention in Glad Hand. You had to
Right.
meet the editors. You had to meet the people who own the companies. You didn't, you know, email was kind of a thing, and we were just getting into the era at that time of using instant messengers and stuff. But there was no VoIP calls. There were no Zooms. There were no online conventions. There was no drive-through RPG at the time where you could just self-publish and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. So if you wanted to break in, you did it the hard way. You did it the way you used to have to do it in Hollywood, which is you showed up at a Hollywood party, you gave out your CV, and you begged for extras roles and hoped somebody noticed you.
Yeah, the way it was. But with the lowered bar, you also get a lot of extra stuff that you
Yep,
get a lot of chaff with the wheat, which
yep,
is okay.
yep,
I mean, it's an
yep,
opportunity for people to realize their dream of publishing their
yep,
darling, and
yep,
seeing if it sticks. And if it doesn't,
yep,
it doesn't, and you try again.
yep. And to be fair, even some things that you would consider chaff can present good ideas that can be borrowed and brought into other games.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, just because a game system itself is a little wonky or maybe not the greatest game system doesn't mean they don't have good ideas buried in there.
Right. Right. There's always something
So,
I find from someone's creative output, unless they're just
yep, yep. Yeah. I mean, there's games out there, lest we have to mention the game that shall not be named, that bring no creative vision to the industry. But
if we're talking about the same game, sure. Yeah.
it starts with an F and ends with Adel.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
true.
let's never forget the early 2000s brought us racial holy war.
Right. Right.
I mean,
What
uh,
a time to be alive.
yeah, I mean, so there are definitely games that don't bring anything to the table, but for the most part, even mediocre games can be mined for great ideas.
Yeah, I think and I think that's a valuable that it's always worth looking to
Mm.
see what comes oozing out of someone's brain pan.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. And then some of the things that ooze out of people's brain pans that take Deadlands Classic for example. Deadlands Classic had a very niche audience, and Shane Hensley decided that he was just going to take the best parts of it, form it into Savage Worlds, throw it out to the world, and Savage Worlds is now one of the largest RPGs in the or is the largest generic RPG in the market.
Yep, it's huge.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want, everybody and their cousin that wants to do that kind of cinematic action RPG wants to attach to Savage Worlds
Yep.
for a reason. I mean, uh, like the guy, hate the guy. I know a lot of people don't like him, but there's a reason Larry Correia chose Savage Worlds when he reauthorized a new printing of Monster Hunter.
Mm.
I mean, I mean, and then you have Solomon Kane, which I think they're supposed to be reprinting Solomon Kane for Adventure Edition, or they did.
Really,
Uh, I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
And then, yeah, before that, you still had Get Pirates of the Spanish Main. You had all those awesome games for the earlier editions that
Right.
probably deserve a reprint. Achung Cthulhu and all that.
Oh yeah.
So it's a Savage Worlds is definitely worth it, and that came out of the brain pan of a guy who said, I want to make my company bigger,
Right. Right. Right.
and he did. He made his company bigger. I won't fault him on that at all.
Yeah,
uh,
we're pretty
yeah.
close to re-releasing the Demon Lord engine rulebook into
Okay.
the Creative Commons, so that would allow
Okay.
people to fool around with that.
That'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, and mostly just kind of
Yep.
to raise awareness about the various games that we make and kind of spread
Yep.
the seed across the universe.
See that's the kind of stuff that people uh, don't know about. Like I said, people don't know about Demon Lord because Demon Lord is kind of niche. I expose it to everyone I get contact with when I get a chance, but I'm one person and I might attract 3 or 4 players.
Sure.
And it's hard. It's hard work. The industry is hard. It's not. I think the downside of the ease of entry is that it's made the industry look easy to operate in, and it's not.
No, it's still
Really not.
it's even harder, I think, nowadays than it was before. Just because it's designing or publishing a role playing game that's not one of the big ones means that you
Hmm.
are selling it door to door, basically.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for the better part of 10 years, I was hitting convention after convention,
Mm.
running demo after demo to just kind of spread the word and to kind of give
Yeah.
it the full Schwalb experience
Hmm.
at the table. And that's what now I'm not able to do conventions like I was for it's maintaining a presence out there in a crowded
Mm.
market is a challenge.
It is a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. And then sometimes things happen to creatives like Bill Slavicsek after fourth edition. Literally left the industry because of what happened with fourth edition. Um, there's more to that story. Nobody knows all of it, but he's working in computer gaming now
Yeah.
because the industry just ate him up.
Well, I mean, that I think that there was at the time when fourth edition was winding down,
Yep.
there was and fifth edition was kind of it was kind of going. There was a thought
Yep.
that 5e was going to be not D&D next so much as it was D&D last, and it was kind of the bow on the entire thing, and then
Hmm.
D&D be this licensed
Yep.
monster.
Yep.
So changing of management seemed to just kind of go with that. And but
Yeah.
you
Oh
all
yeah.
but Bill's working with Ed Stark and Rich Baker and Miranda
Yep.
Horner
Yep.
and
Yep.
a lot of other
Yep. Yeah.
great
Oh yeah.
folks, CSR and Wizards.
Right. Well, and those are guys that I've never had the luxury of meeting, and I would absolutely love to get around a meeting. Richard Baker is definitely one of my favorite AD&D guys. He was quintessential there towards the end of second edition, and of course, he also wrote one of my favorite sci-fi games in Alternity.
Right? Great game.
Him and Bill Slapzik absolutely adore that game. And then, of course, my favorite setting is written by Bauer and Cook. So,
Dark Matter, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So it's like the best of both worlds when you get in that game.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's great product.
um,
I was also thinking that Rich Baker and Bruce Cordell did an incredible job with uh, Gamma World, and I got to
yes.
work on Famine and Fargo for that, and then Rich
Mm,
did Legions of Gold.
yep.
But yeah, that was one of those times where I got to really see Rich in his element, where he just you
Mm,
know really put it together and had a good clarity of vision. And
yep.
same thing with Dark Sun. He led the Dark Sun revision for fourth, and his leadership really helped
Yep.
the
Yeah.
book.
The sad thing right now for me is realizing a lot of the guys that I grew up appreciating their work, a lot of them are starting to get older. Uh,
Yeah,
some of them significantly, like Ed Greenwood is getting significantly older. Weiss and Hickman are getting significantly older. Richard Baker is not a young man anymore. These guys they're Mike Pondsmith is semi-retired. Uh, he mostly works with his son now. His son's kind of taken over the family business kind of thing.
sure.
And stuff. And so you start thinking about that. You start realizing that all these guys that you worked with and that you idolized, you didn't even realize you idolized because you didn't, back in the 90s, tabletop designers weren't names. They weren't like your favorite authors. They didn't
Right.
exist like that. But today you look back and you're like, man, I really liked Richard Baker's adventures. I really liked Monty Cook's. Dead Gods is one of the best set of adventures ever written for second edition.
Yeah.
And then you realize Monty Cook is almost 60. And you're like, when did that happen?
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about it. It's not fair. we're it's it is a we're I'm 51, and it is it's staring at the last 15 years of my career if I keep going all the way till whatever retirement's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't I just I, don't- I mean I don't know, am I going to be sitting in front of my desk at 70? I don't know. And now it's hard to even anticipate what the gaming industry is going to look like next year, let alone 5 years from now.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, the fact that there's now an expectation that
Mm,
you kickstart something that's going to be a VTT option, and that's really
yep.
tricky for a small publisher who doesn't have $40,000 on outlay for a character sheet and all your stuff converted over.
Yep.
Uh,
Or he doesn't have the technical knowledge, so he's going to
right,
have
to
to
do it
go pay
himself.
more to bring
Right.
somebody in, and each,
Yeah.
you know,
And so you start cutting
um,
into yeah, it's
yeah,
just it's it is an interesting predicament.
it really is. Real quick, Eric's mentioned here. This is actually something I mentioned in a video not too long ago. I love that I can buy PDFs from niche RPGs now from all over the world. It's a great time for niche gamers. Absolutely, Eric. I just picked up almost every book for Anima Beyond Fantasy in English. I bought most of the books for Exalted Third in PDF because Onyx Path is not doing print runs anymore. They just do POD through drive-through, and their PODs are prohibitively expensive.
Oh yeah, everything is expensive on the print front, and
Yep.
even worse, it's very difficult to even. I mean, the getting to a point where I think about doing an offset print run. You For years we printed China because it was the most economical.
Mm-hmm.
You do a print run of 5,000. You can't do it in the States. You can't do it and make any
Money.
close to where you're supposed to be. If you're printing
Yep.
40, 50,000, sure. But if
Yep.
you're doing 1,000 to 5,000 units, you're looking at Eastern Europe, maybe Colombia, or
Just as I
Vietnam.
say, a lot of people are using Poland right now.
Yeah, Lithuania is good too. But the problem is that if you're printing in an EU company, you've got to use paper that's
Yep.
sourced back to a sustainable source of
Yeah, because
wood.
EU regulations. And,
Right. So you've got that problem, I mean, which is fine. I mean, I tell 100% on board, but it
yep.
adds another layer of complexity. And then
Yep.
selling product into the EU or UK requires you just, if I do it directly, I have to keep track of that. And I'm not going to do that as a publisher. So that's why I don't have a web store anymore, because it applies to digital sales as well. and so I have to rely on retailers to, I use Studio Two and Drive Through to push my stuff out there. But
Mhm.
you lose. But there again,
Yep.
you're sacrificing earnings for that. So it
Mhm.
becomes this really tricky thing. So it's like, well,
Yep.
it's very tempting to go the POD route with only because it
Mhm.
bypasses a lot of that. But
Well, and
as you said,
that's what Onyx Path ran into is their games weren't selling enough to justify print runs.
right. Well, I mean, you can't print something for 5,000 units and sit on it for 10
No,
years.
no. And when you're as big as Paizo, you're as big as Wizards, you're as kind of, I would even go as, if you're kind of as big as Evil Hat, even, you can kind of afford to do it because you've got enough money coming in. Your profit margin is large enough to kind of do that. But
I
there's
mean,
only a handful of companies that can.
I think that the what we're seeing now and like the nimble role playing game, for example, and Shadow Dark and
Mm,
all the big multi-million dollar Kickstarters, they're all using traditional printing methods. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and
Axe 2 did.
yeah, and that's
Uh,
cool. But for anybody who's kind of occupying a lower rung and who doesn't have a multi-million
yeah,
dollar Kickstarter, it becomes a different venture.
yeah. I just backed last Arc Tactics Analog at the beginning of the month, and well, technically the end of last month. Whatever, splitting hairs. It went live in April. I paid it. I started paying on it in May, um, and they only made $200,000. So their print run is going to be exceedingly small because they only had like 1,500 backers.
Yeah. Well, and then you have to weigh the risk of like you get to print
Mhm.
enough for the backers, but then you also have to anticipate you're going to have after
Yep.
Kickstarter sales, and so you have to have
Yep.
enough left over, and it's a
Mm.
balance. But then I don't want to be doom and gloom, but you
Yep.
look at distributors are not what they used to be.
Nope.
Most of
I
your
mean,
sales,
Diamond went bankrupt.
yeah, and so that screwed a bunch of people, and
Yeah.
it's a yeah, it's an interesting time.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Though, thinking about all that, though, that is the good thing. And I know certain creatives are not the most popular people because of personal things and things like that. Alexander Mokras is not always the most popular human being, but his game is very well done, and we need more people making good games that are in his age category that are 45 and under. Kelsey is doing great with Shadow Dark.
Yep.
Um, and again, there are people that take issue with her, whatever. I don't know why, because everyone I know that's ever met Kelsey said she's like the most down to earth, nice person in the world.
I have I have no idea what the drama is, so
Neither
that's
do I. But like we were saying earlier, I don't want none of it. I don't need none of
no,
it.
not my
um,
circus.
it's not my circus. That's right. I don't care. I personally haven't bought Shadow Dark, but like I said, I'm just not buying a lot of OSR. That's a personal thing. I have nothing against Shadow Dark. As far as I've heard, it's a really good game,
Yeah,
but
a
I
lot of
just
my
don't.
friends are a lot of my industry friends are playing it right now and having a
Yeah,
good time.
yeah. But Glass Cannon Network started up a Shadow Dark game.
That's
GCN
right.
did,
That's right. Yeah, yeah,
and GCN. I'll say this: GCN and places like that are very. I'm going to use the term key to getting smaller games out there if you can get them to notice you. Uh, you know, uh, I used to listen to Rob's Basement, and then you stop doing it. And
yeah. That whole COVID thing kind of threw a wrench in a lot of the
yeah,
plans.
yeah.
Uh,
I'm
we've
just going to needle you on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, there's a good chance that'll start up again. We haven't had a regular game
Yep.
uh, since it's been like 5 6 years.
Yeah.
So
We I went to online because I was having a hard time starting games in this area. So where I'm at, and stupidly enough, I'm right over the mountain from you. I'm over in Asheville.
oh, nice.
Well, just north of Asheville. So I'm literally right over the mountain from you. And in Asheville, there's basically three games that get played here pretty heavily. You got D&D, you got Pathfinder, Starfinder, and then you got DCC. If you try to start anything that's not one of those three games, you're kind of skiing uphill.
Yeah, sure.
And so I went to online. Hey, 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 hey! No biting your brother. They fight over sleeping space. Don't have to. There's a whole room behind me. They fight over the same sleeping space. Uh, but so yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it is good to see these guys that are under 40, 40, 45 kind of breaking into the industry and actually doing well. You
Yeah.
know, like I said, just I ignore all the drama around them. I don't care about the drama around them. I've got Acts 2. I haven't had a chance to peruse it all the way through, but everyone I know that plays it has said it's really well done. He's a very, he's actually a very good marketer. He markets himself very well, so he's managed to make a small breakthrough with it
Cool.
in the niche that it fills, because it's kind of super crunchy. It's a little crunchy, but it fills that niche, and it's good to see that happening because, like we were saying, a lot of these guys that we grew up on that we would consider great game designers are either going to retire, have retired, or just going to pass away.
Yeah.
And you know, Rob Kuntz is not going to be around forever. Greenwood's not going to be around forever. Tracy and Laura Hickman will not be around forever, no matter how much people may want them to be.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it's good to see that there are younger people there. And then you're saying you're 51, you're kind of in that in between category, that you're still working it. You're still trying to develop good games.
Yep.
You're still trying to develop and market a game that you would want to play.
Yeah. Well, that has been the goal. I've not done a lot of other things outside of
Yep.
Weird Wizards in the last 5 or 6 years. And
Yep.
it's largely by just kind of zeroing in on the thing that I'm making and making the fun.
Yep. Now I've got Weird Wizards lying around. I've picked up all the core stuff. I've got the Weird Menagerie, Weird Ancestries, both the core books. I have not gotten it to the table yet, and that kills me.
Well, it is definitely a different feel in play. Characters are a lot more powerful. They do crazy amounts of damage, and largely that's driven by the need to reinforce the fact that these are heroes. They should be
Mhm.
badass and they should be successful. And that is for people who come to Weird Wizard from Demon
Mhm.
Lord. It's a bit of a shock. Uh,
Yep.
but I think Weird Wizard's doing really well, and it's
Mhm.
got a following that's robust. I'm looking
Yep.
forward to seeing what folks think about uh, as we go deeper into the stretch goals and see
Yep.
what the
Mhm.
cults and secret societies books are going to be really fun to make.
Yep.
And then we
I,
have a whole
I,
other
I,
can.
I do need to pick up your book on religion. I don't have that one yet for Weird
Oh
Wizard.
yeah, we're doing those as standalones. They cover
Yep.
one god each, and
Yep.
they give me a chance to really immerse myself
Mhm.
in like I'm working today. I was working on Mother Son, for example, and so
Okay.
we've got it's a little structurally different from the Daughters of Death, but I try to
Uh,
give 4 sample cults,
Yep.
then a bunch of new cool divinely themed creatures, and then some new character options, and it's loaded with goodies that help develop the world, but also at the same time give players something fun
Yep.
to play.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, that's what I love. Honestly, I'll tell you, the company that reminds me of is Chaosium's RuneQuest books, where they did their separate books on all the different gods
Yeah,
and different mystery cults around the gods. Because they could have put out one huge splat book on religion and just been done, and then they would have missed so much opportunity to actually really delve into the different mystery cults and stuff.
yeah, that's what I found with if I had done Mysteries of the Old Gods in a single book, I think I promised it at like 64 pages.
Yep.
And then I've already blown through or getting really close to that. And I've only done 5 gods.
Yep.
So to do that book right, it would have been a
Yep.
256-page book. And that's a lot of art. That's a lot of writing. I'd rather break this up into bite-sized
Yep.
chunks and then
Yep.
bundle it later.
Yeah, and and something I appreciate about your work on drive through right now is your work on drive through is not expensive. There's this newfangled thing where core rule books are going up on drive through for $30 and $35 a PDF. Yours are still reasonable. You're $20, $24.
Yeah, I've keep
something like that.
all my stuff is $20 or less.
Yeah,
As far as
I'm trying to do it off without actually going to drive through to look.
sure, yeah. There is, it's not like these are. It's not like I'm making buckets of money on these either, right? I mean, it's
Yep,
like you
yep,
think about
no,
each page of art, full page of art is $600, and so you
yep,
get a big enough book, you've got your art cost will. You start wondering if you're ever going to recoup this,
yep,
the investment. So it's tricky, and
yep,
I find that pricing things at the $2 to $5 range is pretty
hmm
reasonable, and I think that
yep,
hopefully people will
yep.
continue to support that.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I do appreciate that from you. I really do because it's made collecting your game more palatable. I'm getting to the point where I'm kind of winnowing down what games I'm buying new because I have so I'm cataloging my books. I already have 200 books that I've cataloged in my bedroom alone. I have an
Wow,
office full, and my roommate's bedroom has another shelf full.
you can
Yeah, I'm a
never have
glutton for
enough.
punishment.
You can never have
No, you
enough.
can't. But that being said, I need to stop buying so many new games and stick to just a couple of lines and buy them. And definitely Weird Wizard's on that list because I am very much in love with Weird Wizard. I've got a ton of stuff for Demon Lord. I've got the core book. I've got both Demon Lord companions. I've got all that stuff. I bought a bundle of holding of your stuff back 2016, 2017, something like that. Man, it hasn't been 10 years.
It's hard to believe.
and yeah, and yeah, and that's I had bought the core book before that, of course, and it's just been and I've just been in love with it ever since. And it's just such a fun game. It's a real fun game to introduce people to. It's a fun game to do. And like I said, introducing a lot of your other stuff has been fun. Like I said, introducing people to Song Ice and Fire. Did not expect that to take off the way it did at all. Um, I
Well, that's
expected
great.
it to be one of those games that people played, they enjoyed, and then we dropped the campaign and everyone just moved on. And people were like, "When are you going to run it again?" I'm like, "When I find time, I guess."
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Ever the curse, not enough hours in a day.
not enough hours in the day, and I got a lot going on most of the time. So unfortunately, I run 2 games every other week. I run an alternative game and I run a Deadlands game, and I'm taking a little bit of break from fantasy. So,
Fair enough.
uh, well, I fantasied myself out. I ran fantasy for about 4 years straight. So I'm like, time to do some sci-fi and some other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Mix it up.
Yeah, definitely. But is there anything else you kind of want to mention or anything like that? Because we're coming up on an hour. I don't want to keep you more than about an hour. So.
Well, just if you're interested in what I'm making, you can go to my website, which is schwalbentertainment.com.
Mm-hmm,
Also on Facebook and on Blue Sky and Instagram. Uh, and then Drive Through is where we sell all of our PDFs. We've
mm-hmm,
got hundreds of titles, and it's what's the kind of the mix and match approach of what you need. So I could really use a supplement about poisons for my Demon Lord games. We got you covered, or one about diseases. We got you covered. So we have a lot of different options that you can kind of build out your game and customize it based on what your players are wanting or what you as a player are looking for to kind of develop your character in new and interesting ways. So we've got a pretty still aggressive release schedule coming up for the next at least 2 years, and then new Kickstarters coming as well. So I'm excited.
yeah. Definitely. And if you guys are interested, I do have in the description on YouTube, there is a link to the drive-through store. There is a link to Schwalb Entertainment there as well.
Awesome.
So you guys can find that information there on the YouTube video directly. Uh, Again, thank you for doing this, man.
Yeah, my
I
pleasure.
know you're a busy man. I'm friends with you on Facebook. I see what you post. so um, and again, can't thank you enough because it puts eyeballs on your stuff, but hopefully it'll put some eyeballs on my channel as well.
Yeah,
Um, and that'll be helpful both ways.
for sure.
I encourage everybody go check out Demon Lord, go check out Weird Wizard. Great system, great games, love them to death. Love the systems themselves. Like I said, can't wait to get Weird Wizard to the table. The only thing I wish that you had done is put more ancestries into the core book, but I understand why you didn't because that was already too
We have
thick.
20 ancestries and
Yeah,
weird
and weird
ancestries.
ancestries.
Everything
yeah.
from playing a walking pile of clothes to a demigod. So we got you
Yep.
covered.
Yeah, just when I first opened Weird Wizard and I saw there was only like 6 ancestries or whatever it is in there, I was like, oh man, he's going to put out a book of ancestries, isn't he?
Yep.
I was like, well, there's going to be another $10 I got to spend. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. As always, you can leave thoughts, comments, questions, concerns below. As always, try to follow my 3 rules. No ad hominems, no picking fights. Don't leave me college dissertations. I won't read them. I read enough of those. I've done my due diligence on that. Either way, guys, as always, we hope you have fun, and we do hope to see you guys around the game table at some point.